with Indigenous communities, primarily women. Women are frequently the ones leading the fight to protect and defend water, uplifting the voices of people whose voices have for too long been ignored. So that's a little bit about me. We're in the editing stage now of our water documentary. There are lots of small fixes that are trying to be effectuated right now in various communities around the world. And I think some of you on this call probably know some of those solutions that are being effectuated. I tend to take a more sort of cosmic approach to this. I think that we've lost our way as a human family, and that we've lost our connection to each other, to the rest of creation. When you think about human beings and the way we interface with the rest of creation, what do we contribute? We just take. We take. Whereas the rest of creation has reciprocity relationship with each other. I was thinking this morning on my walk up here in the hills where I go every morning about bears and blueberries, and how bears eat the blueberries, and the blueberries willingly give themselves to the bear in order for the bear to eat. And what does the bear do? The bear then poops out what's left of that berry that he doesn't use and spreads the seed of that blueberry all over the landscape. The blueberry knows instinctively that offering itself up to the bear allows its survivability to sustain, in fact, to spread, to perpetuate. So perspective, and look to nature and understand that we are in relationship with the rest of creation. Instead of placing ourselves at the top of the pyramid in this mentality that says we're superior to the rest of creation, see ourselves in that circle of life as just a chain in that link, a link, I should say, in that chain in the circle of life. Understanding that trees and forests, we literally depend on them for our survival. No trees or forests, no oxygen, no human life, no life at all. Water, as you said earlier, I heard it over and over and over again in communities literally all over the world. Water is life. Water is life. Indeed it is. Without water, there is no life. So rather than treating the trees, the forests, the rest of creation, the water as commodities to be exploited for commercial profit, maybe we need to view them as family that we depend on for our very survival. And with that idea in mind, I'll toss it back. Thank you, Evie.
Thank you so much, Michael. I mean, it's so easy listening to you because you speak in the simplest ways that we must understand. And it has really been beautiful working with you on the documentary. I would like to ask a question in line with that. As a filmmaker and an advocate, which you are, how have you seen storytelling influence public engagement and policy on water conservation?
I wish I had a good answer to that, Evie. I come to this work simply because this is the way I know how to try and contribute. Whether the contribution I'm trying to make has any kind of effect or not, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can tell you that when people screen my movies, there is an impact. What they take away with them and how it affects their lives and how they exercise a different perspective as a result, I can't really say. I don't know. I'm at a stage of my life, Evie, where for me, I have to do what I can to try and make a difference. I'm 70 years old and I've lived a very, very blessed life, a very, very fortunate life. And I've spent my life learning how to tell stories. That's what my life has been. I've been a storyteller my whole life. So what I want to do right now in my life is try and use what I've learned to try and contribute in a positive way. I do believe that we change people's minds through their heart. And so as I seek to uplift the voices of the people who have for too long been ignored, I'm not only doing that because I believe it's the right thing to do, I'm also doing it because I honestly believe this is our last best hope. When I talk to Indigenous peoples in the communities that I visited, and they speak about the relationship they have to the rest of creation, it's a way of approaching life, of approaching understanding of our place in the universe that resonates deeply with me. And because it resonates with me, I hope and believe that it can and will resonate with other people. And so whether there's a positive result or not, I will tell you that as I visit these communities, the one thing I did see, the one thing I experienced over and over and over again is when you make space for people whose stories, whose voices have for too long been ignored, they feel empowered by that. And so the gift for me has always been being able to find my way into these communities and interact with these people and have them embrace me and accept me and be willing to talk with me with love and generosity. But I see that there has also been a gift the other way, in that when they see somebody like me coming from America, willing to listen to them with respect, without an agenda, but with respect, there is something that empowers them as well. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the best I can do.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yes, yes, it does. And please, if you have any worries or questions or clarity you need from Michael, don't hesitate to drop your concerns in the chat. After the conversation, we are going to have an open space for all questions. So, Michael, I'll ask you a last question before we go to the next speaker. And this is about like last year you visited almost the whole world, carrying out this filming of the water documentary, having women tell stories of their communities and how their water is their water resources are being used, managed, affected, and stuff like that. So, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered in communicating the urgency of water conservation to broader audience?
Well, Evie, you know, I will tell you, even as I'm still editing, the opening it's going to be a 5-hour series, likely 5, maybe 6-hour series. So that the first hour is going to be focused on the realities that I saw on the ground. And one of the ironies, one of the sad, tragic ironies for me is that in 2010, the United Nations declared that access to clean, safe drinking water is a human right. And yet, in community after community after community, I saw that that human right is not being appropriated, is not being assigned to communities all over the world. They do not have access to clean, safe drinking water. And so I feel like I have to establish, you know, open the film clearly with an understanding that the realities on the ground are a very long way from that United Nations declaration in 2010. And so what is that disconnect? What is that disconnect between this declaration that the United Nations has made, unanimously voted on in the General Assembly, you know, 90 odd countries voting in favor of, yes, access to clean, safe drinking water is a human right. But the reality on the ground is a long way from that. So I can tell you that every community I visit that is struggling with accessing clean, safe drinking water, in most cases knows that they are drinking water that is in some way contaminated. It's not that they're unaware. It's what they said to me over and over again is, what can we do? This is all we have available. And so obviously what's caused the issues around water, well, they're multiple, right? Of course, climate change, but also somewhere along the way, we as a species decided that poisoning the water was going to be okay. Why? For the sake of industrialization. So in countries like mine, we then have the infrastructure to clean the water that we've poisoned through the industrial development that we've allowed, urbanization. Right? But in countries around the world, in many, many countries around the world, they do not have the infrastructure to clean the water that has been tainted by industrial activity or urbanization, right? By climate change. And so what do we need to do in countries like mine that have the wealth? We have to provide the access to resources so that the communities that don't have access to clean, safe drinking water have access to clean, safe drinking water. It is a fundamental, basic human right. And that we have allowed ourselves to allow, that we have permitted ourselves to allow some members of our human family to fall so far behind. This is, you know, what made me cry day after day after day as I traveled, is seeing that there are members of the human family that have access to the resources so that people around the world do not have to face the kind of challenges they face just around having access to clean, safe drinking water. There is a disconnect between this UN resolution and the realities on the ground. And that's what I'm hoping we can help inspire a bridge be created between that disconnect.
Thank you so much, Michael, for these wonderful insights. We will come back to you in the course of the conversation. So at this moment, we will call on the next speaker, Parfait. Please, you introduce yourself, sir, and what you do, how you are working in the water space, and then we are going to continue with questions. Over to you, Monsieur Parfait.
Okay, thank you very much, Madame Lema. Thank you, Michael, for this wonderful telling story about water. Sorry, but I will continue in French, which is my first language, first working language. Donc, je suis Parfait Kamta, analyste en gestion des ressources naturelles. Je travaille dans un cabinet canadien. Nous proposons des solutions pour les projets climatiques, adaptation, atténuation, documents stratégiques, intégration des changements climatiques dans les documents stratégiques comme les NDC, les plans nationaux d'adaptation et tous ces documents stratégiques. Nous faisons également ce que nous appelons la modélisation climatique avec les systèmes ASPC, le système GIEC, et les inventaires de gaz à effet de serre. Alors, parlant de l'eau, nous travaillons également sur les questions liées à la gestion des ressources en eau. Alors, je vais directement, j'avais préparé une présentation, mais je vais directement aller sur l'étude de cas concernant mon expérience dans la gestion des ressources en eau. Alors, il s'agit de ce projet que j'ai piloté à l'ouest du Cameroun. Pour ceux qui connaissent l'ouest du Cameroun, c'est une région assez contractée, déjà avec ce que nous avons appelé les pressions démographiques, les pressions foncières et beaucoup de pressions sur la gestion des ressources naturelles, y compris l'eau. Alors, dans la localité où j'ai travaillé, le constat a été simple. Alors, nous avons remarqué que de plus en plus, les femmes prenaient beaucoup plus de temps pour aller chercher de l'eau et plus le temps passait, plus les petites rivières, les ruisseaux et les forages qu'on avait eu, que le village a eu à bénéficier de divers projets étaient asséchés. Et on s'est posé la question, qu'est-ce qui est donc la cause de cet assèchement brut des ressources en eau dans la localité qui est, je vais dire, vraiment très, très accidenté sur des pans de montagne et dont la gestion et l'accès à l'eau est une question très, très sensible et très vitale. Alors, nous avons fait une première évaluation sur le terrain. Il était question de comprendre les causes de cette rareté de la ressource en eau. Nous avons mené des investigations avec les parties prenantes dans le village, les ménages, et au sorti, il a été clair que l'eau a diminué à cause de la dégradation des rafiales. C'est quoi les rafiales? Les rafiales, c'est une plante typique. On le retrouve au Cameroun, on va le retrouver au Gabon, bref, dans la région, dans le bassin du Congo. C'est vrai qu'à l'ouest Cameroun, on va beaucoup plus parler de l'espèce raffinifera, de raffia. Alors, cette espèce était dans le temps responsable de la sauvegarde des ressources en eau, donc des marécages et tout ce qui était eau dans la localité. Et avec le développement agricole, la pression sur les raffias a donc favorisé sa dégradation, ce qui a donc fait assécher tous les sources d'eau disponibles dans la localité. Alors, il était question également de comprendre réellement si l'eau avait une relation claire avec la ressource, avec les raffiales. Alors, nous avons essayé de faire une analyse spatio-temporelle sur 15 années pour essayer de comprendre quelle est la relation spatio-temporelle entre les sources d'eau et les raffiales. Et au sorti, nous avons tout simplement remarqué, vous allez le voir dans ma présentation, je pense que Madame Lema va partager cela, vous allez voir les cartes. Alors, on s'est tout simplement rendu compte que tous les points d'eau, tous les forages et tous les autres ressources, tous les autres points d'eau étaient situés dans les raffiales. Alors, les raffiales étaient dans ces plantes qui ont permis de maintenir les zones humides et les ressources en eau jusqu'à ce moment. Alors, ayant fait ce constat, il était clair qu'il faut faire quelque chose, non seulement pour repeupler les raffiales, mais aussi pour sauver l'agriculture, parce que dans cette localité, c'est l'un des greniers agricoles de tout le Cameroun et de l'Afrique centrale. Et donc, cette pression, vous savez, il y a une relation très étroite entre l'eau et la production agricole. Donc, il n'était pas question de sauver seulement l'approvisionnement en quantité et en qualité de l'eau, mais également de pouvoir réserver une bonne quantité d'eau pour l'agriculture. Parce que dans la présentation, vous allez voir des photos où il y a des points de captage, où tous les points de captage pour l'agriculture se trouvent dans les raffiales. Vous allez voir, oui, yes, right. Donc, tous les points d'eau se retrouvent dans les raffiales. Donc, il est question de sauver cette ressource qui sont les raffiales et surtout de maintenir la quantité et la qualité de l'eau. Alors, qu'est-ce que nous avons fait? Nous avons essayé de discuter avec tous les propriétaires de raffiales parce que dans cette localité également, cette plante est une considération culturelle et chaque successeur, généralement, hérite des raffiales. Donc, il était question de discuter avec tous les propriétaires de raffiales pour voir dans quelle mesure il faut renforcer, repeupler ces raffiales pour maintenir une bonne quantité d'eau et éviter le choc dans 5 ou 6 années parce que nos projections avaient montré que si le rythme de dégradation des raffiales continuait, dans 5 à 10 ans, il devrait quasiment plus avoir de sources d'eau dans cette localité. Et donc, il était question de discuter avec les autorités traditionnelles pour voir dans quelle mesure utiliser, que ce soit les mesures au niveau traditionnel, les mesures au niveau politique, même les mesures au niveau du projet pour renforcer les raffiales. Vous allez également avoir dans ma présentation l'article qui a été publié là-dessus. Et je vais profiter de ça pour montrer donc l'importance d'impliquer les locaux dans de telles approches, d'où l'approche ascendante qui va être basée sur les populations qui utilisent. Donc, il était question de discuter donc avec chaque ménage pour que volontairement et plus repeupler les rafiales dans leur localité pour permettre à ce qu'on puisse maintenir et pérenniser les niveaux d'eau. Parce que le constat a été clair avec les études, plus les rafiales diminuaient, plus l'eau était vraiment absente dans la région. Jusqu'ici, nous avons donc formulé des recommandations. Un comité de pilotage a été mis sur pied au niveau local pour commencer à recenser déjà tous les sites de rafiales qui pouvaient bénéficier de ce repeuplement. Également, recenser tous les usages possibles et comment est-ce qu'on pouvait canaliser tous ces petits rafiales pour en faire des superficies beaucoup plus grandes qui pouvaient alimenter toute la localité. Et surtout, il fallait noter que tous les châteaux alimentant la chefferie, alimentant le marché, alimentant les écoles, alimentant l'hôpital, les châteaux étaient dans les rafiales. Donc, c'était réellement un problème qu'il fallait apporter une solution assez concrète et rapide. Ce projet est encore en cours parce que nous sommes dans une phase de recherche de financement pour poursuivre la deuxième phase qui serait beaucoup plus de créer d'autres hectares de raffia indépendamment. Ce que nous avons appelé des surfaces de raffia communautaires qui vont permettre de garantir la qualité de l'eau qui est vraiment cruciale pour cette localité. Cela va s'appliquer, ce constat a été fait également dans d'autres villages et dans d'autres localités dans l'Ouest Cameroun, mais nos études ont été basées sur ce site pilote. Donc, si vous avez des questions, je suis prêt à répondre. Merci.
Thank you very much, Parfait, for the presentation. If you need the presentation, he sent a perfect presentation in English for those who did not get it in French, so I could share the presentation to all of you. You spoke something really exciting about the raffia and how it benefits not only the water management issue, but it also is a source of food. It's able to keep food for the communities, and that's something that is really exciting to know about. I mean, we tend to realize that sometimes when we are trying to solve the water issues, we are indirectly solving the food security issues too, and that's something that we must be able to take into concern. So, a question for you, Mr. Kamta Parfait, from your experience, how can policymakers better integrate community perspectives into the national water management strategies? You have given a very simple local way of managing this, and you're spoken how you're working with local community leaders. How can you be able to take that that step with national leaders so that we could be able to pass on these strategies to them and ensure that they incorporate it into our policy systems? You are muted. Unmute yourself and yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lama. So, pour revenir, si j'ai bien compris la question, comment intégrer les politiques, les décisions pour renforcer cette gestion des rafiales au niveau national? Alors, ce qui a été constaté déjà, c'est que les rafiales, déjà au niveau de l'ECN, c'est data deficient. Donc, c'est une plante qu'il faut déjà faire des recherches dessus. Nous avons commencé, mais il y a encore beaucoup de travail qu'il faut mettre en place pour pouvoir vraiment faire connaître cette plante et surtout quels sont ses avantages pour l'écosystème, pour les ressources en eau. Et donc, au niveau du Cameroun, il n'y a pas encore de loi vraiment très spécifique sur la protection des rafiales. Au niveau traditionnel, les chefs ont pris des mesures. Je vais prendre par exemple le cas du chef Baganté. Si vous connaissez, Baganté est dans la localité de l'Ouest également, où il a pris des mesures au niveau local pour féticher et mettre en jachère tous les rafias, question de les préserver sur au moins 10 années. Alors ici, nous pensons que les politiques peuvent intervenir en mettant clairement les rafias dans la liste des espèces non seulement protégées, que ce soit d'abord au niveau national avec le MIFOF ou le MINEPDET, mais aussi de rédiger clairement les politiques comme le cas de feu de brousse qui interdit par exemple ou qui garantit une certaine pérennité au rafial. Par exemple, je parle ici des lois qui vont par exemple favoriser la protection des rafiales comme espèces protégées. Cela va permettre naturellement de faire augmenter les superficies. Également pour les claims-makers, si on peut le dire ainsi, il est surtout question de faire déjà une bonne sensibilisation autour de cette plante et montrer clairement quelle est son importance sur le plan climatique, sur le plan hydroécologique. Et je pense que à ce niveau, si les rafias sont intégrés dans les stratégies des ONG, par exemple comme l'ONG African Voice for African Forests, cela pourrait déjà être quelque chose de pertinent. Il faut qu'on parle des rafias, il faut qu'on ait des données sur les rafias, il faut qu'on essaye d'avoir toute une base de données pour pouvoir convaincre les politiques à insérer cela dans les plans et les stratégies de développement, les stratégies d'aménagement, etc. J'espère que j'ai répondu à la question.
Yes, thank you very much. Is there anyone who we need a translation to this? Okay, great. Okay, so Asibi, you've received the presentation right now in your email. You can go through and follow along. Thank you very much, Mr. Kamta, for responding. Yes, you did respond perfectly to the question. And a final question I'll ask you before going back to Michael and opening the space for everyone to ask questions is, what is the role you think capacity building plays in empowering communities for long-term water conservation? You are someone who has been working with these communities, and what is the role you think capacity building has to do in empowering communities to be able to manage water for a longer term?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lama. So, le renforcement de capacité est réellement l'élément que je peux recommander actuellement, pas seulement pour cette communauté où ce travail a été fait, mais pour l'ensemble des autres communautés, parce que il est clair, la gestion de la ressource en eau est la même dans toutes les localités. Alors, le plus important serait de pouvoir renforcer les capacités des communautés à comprendre déjà quelle est réellement leur place dans la gestion des ressources en eau, comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent améliorer leur façon d'utiliser de l'eau, comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent améliorer leur façon d'utiliser les ressources qui sont directement liées à l'eau, comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent, par exemple, dans le cas de ce projet, comprendre la nécessité du repeuplement des rafiales qui vont après avoir pour effet de garantir une certaine pérennité des ressources en eau qui devrait normalement les servir à développer plus de champs, gagner plus d'argent. Donc, on est dans un système où il faut essayer de permettre à ces locaux de faire d'abord une cartographie même participative de toutes les ressources qui ont un lien direct avec les ressources en eau, de leur permettre de comprendre quel est l'apport, quel est le rôle des ressources en eau pour eux ou pour les générations à venir. Parce que, et nous pensons que votre association peut vraiment nous aider dans ce sens de renforcement de capacité, surtout avec les femmes, parce que ce qui a été constaté, c'est que les femmes qui vont transformer les raffias en champs agricoles, tout en ignorant qu'en transformant les raffias en champs agricoles, elles limitent plutôt leur capacité à faire les cultures de contre-saison parce que le raffia va partir avec les ressources en eau. Donc, faire comprendre aux communautés déjà l'importance de bien gérer ces ressources, que ce soit le raffia, parce qu'ailleurs, il y a d'autres plantes qui peuvent jouer le même rôle, mais surtout de leur faire comprendre la nécessité de bien gérer de l'eau pour eux et pour les générations à venir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamta. I think we are having some people who are having problems joining for some reason. I don't know why. We were supposed to be having like lots of people in this conversation to listen to all the beautiful work you and Michael are doing, and how you've been working with communities and advocating for the right things that have to be done in our communities. So a quick question for both of you, Michael and Kamta, which I think it's something that is important based on our topic. When we talk about a bottom-top approach, and we are starting with community engagement, why do we think the bottom-top approach is essential when it comes to effective water conservation? Why do we think it is essential? Michael, to you.
Well, the top-down approach isn't working, right? Is it? We just need to look around the world and see that the top-down approach is not working. And so, again, you know, I was in a community in Ethiopia where women and children were standing by a stream that was almost had no water in it. There was very, very little water, and it was clearly contaminated. And again, this woman said, we're taking this water knowing it's contaminated because we have no choice. This is all we have. But along with that understanding, they were replacing the trees around the stream to bring more water. They knew that without trees, again, you know, we talk about relationship. We know that where there's lots of rainfall, there tends to be really dense forests. But do we make the connection that the reason there's a lot of rainfall is because there's really dense forests? So again, you know, the rain falls, it helps the trees grow. But the trees grow and seed the clouds so that there's a lot of rain. There is a relationship between the two. And even in local communities, even in communities with very, very limited capacity, with very, very limited resources, they are trying to do the right thing. So I think it's a mistake for, at least for someone like me, to be expecting more from local communities. We in affluent parts of the world need to be investing resources in the communities that desperately need it and know how to use it. So we don't have to micromanage the way these projects get initiated, get implemented. We just need to provide them with the resources to be able to do what they know how to do.
Thank you very much, Michael, for the response. Kamta, what about you? What do you think of the bottom-top approach, starting with a community engagement? Why is it essential for water conservation?
Thank you, Madame Lama. I think bottom approach is a winning approach parce que les bénéficiaires pour chaque projet, il faut qu'on le mentionne déjà parce que aujourd'hui, les bailleurs de fonds, tous ceux qui sont en tête de financement des projets mentionne généralement la participation des bénéficiaires. Et cette approche ascendante, c'est une approche qui va des besoins des bénéficiaires. Quel est le besoin des bénéficiaires? C'est à partir des besoins des bénéficiaires qu'on va vers les politiques et les stratégies. Et c'est la meilleure approche. Je ne pense pas, avec l'expérience que nous avons eue avec beaucoup de projets, que ce soit même dans le cas des indices, les projets d'adaptation, cela a toujours marché. Prendre en compte les bénéficiaires qui sont au bas de l'échelle pour pousser. Cela permet déjà de proposer quelque chose de durable, de proposer quelque chose de mieux adapté, de proposer quelque chose d'assez naturel, d'assez équilibré, de proposer quelque chose pour lequel cette communauté se reconnaisse elle-même. Si je reprends le cas de ce projet, nous avons souhaité discuter directement avec les propriétaires des rafias parce que c'était ceux-là qui pouvaient avoir des approches et des stratégies au niveau local que nous pouvons peut-être améliorer avec le projet. Et généralement, quand les bénéficiaires se reconnaissent dans les solutions proposées, ça marche et ça marche pour très, très longtemps. Donc, pour moi, que ce soit la ressource en eau, que ce soit les autres ressources, basées sur les bénéficiaires ou les locaux est la meilleure approche et ceci doit être appliqué dans tout type de projet. Je pense que tous les projets qui ont vraiment pris en compte les besoins des premiers bénéficiaires, c'est-à-dire en adoptant cette approche ascendante, cela a toujours marché. Les résultats ont été tout simplement satisfaisants. Merci.
Thank you, Kamta. Let me ask you this question again before I go to Michael. You have worked with communities. This is a form of a partnership. And in the same light as Michael been working with communities across the different continents around the world. And this is a form of partnership, collaborating with communities to be able to ensure these water conservation issues. So how can partnerships between local communities, experts, and organizations be strengthened to achieve these lasting solutions? What do you think, Kamta? How can we strengthen partnerships to be able to achieve lasting solutions to the water crisis?
You were breaking up a little bit, Evie, so I hope I understood the question. I'll try my best. I think there's a disconnect again. Somehow, in many parts of the world, I see an effort being made to emulate the way we do things here in the US, because lots of parts around the world see affluence here in the US and think this is something that we need a piece of. But again, I was in a community in Ethiopia, a different community, remote community. We had to, we were on dirt roads for a long time, and then we had to hike for about 3 kilometers. And the leader of that community said to me, they tell us that they're going to bring us electricity in the next 2 or 3 years. And he said, this will be good. It will make our lives easier. But we don't need electricity. We need water. So the idea that the way things are being done in this country, the way capitalism is practiced, remember, anytime you have ISM at the end of a word, ism, it means a belief in, right? A belief in capital, a belief in money. And the truth is, we can't eat money, we can't drink money, but money can be used to build capacity. So the idea that some people are adopting our way of being as a way to advance progress, I think is a mistake. This is just my opinion. When I read that the UN has Sustainable Development Goals 6 or Sustainable Development Goals 5, we never meet any of those goals each time they set them. But why are we seeking to have sustainable development goals when development is part of the issue? We cannot develop our way out of a development crisis. It's not about assigning and appropriating more. It's about learning to live in relationship with each other, with respect, with kindness, with consideration, and with the rest of creation. I think there is a fundamental shift that needs to be adopted, because this belief in money, capitalism, is not good for people, and it's not good for the rest of creation. It's good for a few people, but it's not good for all of us. And so I know that that's a sort of roundabout way of trying to address your question. I know that what I found in the communities I visited was I learned from them. And what they were saying to me was, fundamental to the way we're going to find our way out of the crises we're facing, lack of water, lack of food, lack of just survival elements, is by renewing our relationship to nature and renewing our relationship to each other, building community. You know, there's a phrase that I hear in the water movement, in the water justice movement. Water is life, but it is also a common good, a public trust, a human right. And we have to go back to that understanding that it is a common good. It belongs not to any of us. You know, an Indigenous leader said to me during my Boreal movie, the land does not belong to us, but we belong to the land. We have to get back to that understanding and reject the idea that we as human beings are above this pyramid, at the top of this pyramid. We are a member of this circle of life. And then we will start to learn to respect and treat with kindness and consideration the rest of creation and each other. Thank you, Evie.
Wow. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you so much for reminding us that we are not in a pyramid, we are in a circle. Thank you for reminding us that. This is really important for us to know and to keep in mind. Kamta, please, what is your response to this same question on how partnerships between local communities, experts, and organizations can be strengthened to achieve lasting solutions to the water crisis?
Okay, thank you, Madam Lama. Michael have provided a lot of response. Je peux juste ajouter que il est d'abord question de faire un état des lieux. Parce que la remarque qui a été faite généralement, c'est que ces bénéficiaires, ces communautés, ont très peu, vraiment très peu d'informations déjà sur les crises liées à la gestion de l'eau. Ils ont très peu d'informations sur l'impact de leur usage de l'eau, que ce soit sur leur communauté ou bien des autres communautés voisines. Alors, il est question déjà dans ce processus de faire un état des lieux clair des ressources en eau, en insistant sur les zones critiques, d'utiliser ces résultats pour faire une sensibilisation auprès de toutes les parties prenantes. La sensibilisation permet déjà aux bénéficiaires et aux communautés de comprendre quel est réellement l'état de l'eau au niveau global et quelle est donc l'implication de leurs gestes ou de leur façon de gérer les ressources en eau, non seulement pour leur communauté au niveau national, au niveau sous-régional, au niveau mondial, parce qu'il faut le dire, l'eau ne s'arrête pas dans une localité, l'eau est une ressource qui va lier beaucoup plus d'autres communautés, et une gestion concertée est très efficace. Et donc, cette sensibilisation doit être vraiment basée sur l'état des lieux de la ressource en eau et donc quel est l'impact de l'homme sur l'amélioration de cet état de lieu, ou bien même quelles peuvent être les conséquences de leur action vis-à-vis de cet état de lieu. Donc, ça, c'est le rôle vraiment des organisations et comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent intégrer les communautés dans la gestion de l'eau. Pour moi, c'est d'abord la sensibilisation, qu'ils puissent comprendre déjà quelle est la nécessité, quel est l'état des lieux. Et je pense que des actions pourront réellement découler de cette mise à jour. Merci.
Thank you very much. Yes, sensitization, education is really important if we must be able to bring everyone to this circle Michael just spoke about. So Mr. Kamta is emphasizing on the importance of education and sensitizing rural communities about the importance of water and the importance of them being part of the decision-making processes. And I think that is one of the reasons why we at Voices of Forest Alliance, one of the things we try to do is to build the capacities of these communities on their rights when it comes to environmental issues, and empower them to be able to understand that they have the capacity to change their own stories, to change the issues that are happening around their communities, because these issues are affecting them, and they must be able to speak up so that they can clearly have this seat in the decision-making tables, which they are being pushed away from, because people or those at the pyramids feel that they are uneducated, they are poor, and they are not supposed to be part of such conversations that actually concern them. So this is really beautiful. Thank you so much, Kamta. Thank you, Michael, for these amazing presentations that you have made tonight. I am really, really excited. I'm going to open the floor for our participants if they have any questions or they have contributions. I see some messages in the chat. Sandy sent a message. Yes, as CB, we are coming to you. You just raised your hand. She said the principles of our organizations are completely in line with those expressed by Michael. So Sandy and Michael, please, you can connect. Sandy is actually in Canada, and Michael is presently in the US, but Michael has the connections with Canada as well. So it's easy, connect, and let's see how this is able to lead to amazing collaborations for water preservation. ICB, over to you. You can ask your question or make your comment.
Okay, so good day, everybody. Thank you so much, Michael and Parfait, for the presentations. They were very insightful. I have a question for Michael, actually. So the first question is, what is the response or feedback you intend to gain by sharing the documentary with the world? I suppose the documentary, just as you've mentioned, is still going through some editing and all that you've said. So what do you intend to achieve with it? Like, what is the response or feedback you intend to gain by sharing this documentary? Then how can we know when the documentary is ready, so that we can be able to accelerate the dissemination of and engagement with the documentary? So specifically, as a climate storyteller, how can I be part of creatively being part of the process to help disseminate the documentary now? So those are my questions.
Thank you, SCB. I appreciate your questions. The water documentary has not yet been seen. I'm still editing, and I've shared it with a couple of my collaborators, Evie, and a couple of the other women that traveled around in different areas of my travels with me just to get some early feedback. But we're still sort of early on in terms of this documentary, but I'll share a little bit of feedback I received with my Boreal documentary, which, you know, has some of the same certainly philosophical underpinnings. What we did at all of our screenings all over the world was we had a company that makes toilet paper from recycled post-consumer paper available to hand out a free roll to everybody who attended the screening. And so lots of people changed their toilet paper practices. Again, you know, what started out as a movie about trees and toilet paper evolved and emerged into a much deeper narrative about colonial violence and unfettered extractive industrial exploitation. But even small changes are important. So, many hundreds of people who saw the movie are no longer using toilet paper manufactured from tree fiber from old growth forests, because old growth forests are one of the central sort of key elements to our survivability on the planet. Without forests, well, one of the reasons why our hydrological cycle, our water cycle has been so disrupted is because we've cut down our forests and replaced them with monoculture, agriculture, monoculture, trees and plantations. So, so that's one small reaction. But again, you know, the larger message that I'm trying to carry, and not invent, but carry, sort of act as a conduit, a kind of channel for those that I've met along the way, is that we must reconnect ourselves with each other. That, you know, the real central issue we're going to have to confront and reconcile is what I call the disease of disconnection. Disconnection from each other, disconnection from the land, disconnection from the rest of creation. We've been brainwashed into believing that we must turn these into commodities for commercial profit, rather than treating them like members of our family with respect and care and consideration, because we depend on them for our very survival. So, and in terms of learning when the movie is going to be released, I dropped all my contact information into the chat. Feel free to stay in touch with me, and on a, you know, on a level of, you know, the work you're doing, connect with me. Happy to chat with you and see if I can support your work in some way. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Sibi, I think you have a brilliant response to your question. And of course, when the movie will be released, it will be on all AVAF's social media platforms. Reason why you should also follow us on social media, on LinkedIn as Voices for Forest Alliance, on Facebook, African Voices for Africa's Forest, on Instagram, African Voices for Africa's Forest as well. So we are going to make sure that we shout that documentary out loud and clear for everyone to be a part of the conversation and get to know what's happening. So do we have any other question from the floor?
Evie, I just said, you know, to be clear, CB, I don't make my documentaries to play them for my friends in my living room. I make them because the message that is being carried through me through these films is a message that I believe needs to be heard desperately right now. And so we will do everything humanly possible to make sure that the message gets carried as widely as possible so that everyone hears about it and has opportunity to see it.
Amazing. We can't wait for the release of that documentary, Michael. Thank you. Okay, so someone is asking, is that for Michael, Kamta, or for AVAF? Do we have partners? For AVAF, we actually have volunteers who are from Ghana. I think presently we have 3 of them on the call who are from Ghana. And yeah, So that is our base with Ghana at the moment. So do we any contribution, any question? If there is none, Michael and Kamta, I want to ask you. You're welcome. I want to ask you for a final word to our participants. Let's start with Kamta. Kamta, do you have a word for the participants? What's the take-home word?
Ok, merci Madame Lama. Je vais remercier également Michael pour son expérience qui a également enrichi ma petite expérience. Alors, mot de fermeture, tout ce que je peux encore dire, c'est surtout que ce type de travaux, ce type de webinaire soit tout simplement multiplié. Donc, je vais tout simplement prier Madame Lama de nous organiser ce genre de séances de travail beaucoup plus souvent. Cela va nous permettre de faire un follow-up de ce qu'on fait sur le terrain. Cela va nous permettre également d'avoir des enseignements des autres et que réellement ce type d'initiative soit documenté et que ça puisse permettre à parler et à mieux gérer les ressources en eau à travers le monde. Merci.
Merci, Parfait. Thank you.
Yes, Michael. What's your word? Thank you, Parfait. This is a second. It's a webinar series we are trying to create, and this is the second time we are hosting it. The first time we had like some stories from the field, and this time we felt it was important to see a bottom-up approach to some of these water solutions. So in the next part, we will make sure that we reach out to all our presenters who have been in these conversations, so that we bring them together as well to see how we can have larger conversations. And in next month, we are actually going to be having an online networking meeting where we hope to have lots of participants, different organizations working together, so that we are able to exchange contacts, talk to one another, and get to support, collaborate, partner, and support each other in implementing work and handling activities that can be able to be to bring the betterment for our communities. And I see, Michael, I'm coming back to you for your final word. I'll just read these messages from the chat. Sandy Geshoni says, we intend to start climate action workshops for youth. This documentary would be so welcome as a teaching assistant. Michael, you've got work. So, Shia Stewart, she says, before we end, can I quote rather that they have their own or ones that they love from both speakers? Okay. So, like, if people can drop like quotes, that they loved, or any words that they loved from both speakers, you can just drop it so Shia can take note of that. Shia is our media team lead at Voices for Forest Alliance, and she is doing a great job putting together information for this webinar to follow up on our YouTube page. So, Michael, yeah, you already responded. Please do connect with Sandy and talk more. So over to you, Michael. Let's hear, what's your final word?
Thank you, Evie, and thank you to everyone who joined today. You know, everyone on this call is already doing what it is we need everyone to be doing, which is growing our awareness, creating connection, forming community, and speaking out on behalf of those who can't speak for themselves, the trees, the plants, the water, the animals. They cannot speak for themselves. And there are many communities around the world who also are largely ignored. So those of us who have a platform, no matter how modest it is, we must lift our voices, we must raise our voices and speak out clearly and frequently about, you know, what is unacceptable to us and the world that we want to see. A world that has us working together, understanding each other, treating each other with respect, sharing the resources that the world has, understanding that the resources the planet has are limited, so they should be treated as such. I also want to say in closing that I've had the good fortune to get to know Avi Lama now quite well over the last couple of years, and it's been such a privilege to know her and to be able to collaborate with her. So those of you who have an opportunity to work with Evie, because perhaps you're in closer proximity rather than me in Los Angeles and she's in Cameroon, although we formed quite a tight bond, quite a tight collaboration. You'll see it in our water documentary. I just want to just shout her praises, you know, just say how much I respect and love her and how much I respect and love the work she does. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you so much, Michael. You are melting my heart. Thank you. I'm really, really grateful for Michael and Kamta for taking out this amazing moment to join us in this conversation. I wish we had like more time to keep it going so that we can be able to have more and more. But that is not all. There is more of this series coming up. And of course, we have rooms for you to join us as volunteers. Michael, we're having volunteers from the USA. Shia is joining us from the USA. And we have volunteers from Ghana. We have volunteers from Nigeria. And we also have volunteers within Cameroon. So if you want to volunteer with us, you can just reach out to us and we will uh, look at your profile and work and see how we can be able to work with you in the space where you want to groom your skills or build your capacity. We are heading towards a networking event on the 15th of May, and we are inviting each and every one of you to join us during that networking event. Posters are already being shared on social media, and we'll still be sharing more. So we hope you can join us during that period. And the next water webinar will make sure that you are alert, you are informed about the webinar, so you can come in. And maybe if you feel you have a water story you want to talk about, and you would like to talk about it on our platform, we are very open to welcome you. So please just reach out to us, and we will be able to see how to bring you in to tell your water stories. I mean, I would say one of the reasons we decided to get into the water issue seriously is actually inspired um by the documentary that we filmed last year with Michael, and going through the communities and seeing what was happening. It began to ring a bell like this is serious. The water crisis is something we really need to talk more about, and it's something we really need to put up our voices to and let the world know that water is something that is a free gift and it is life. We must be able to use it effectively and allow people to use it the way they have been blessed with it. So this conversation actually began pondering in our mind, and we decided that it was important we begin to look into water stories, trying to provide water for communities uh, through boreholes, trying to restore water catchment areas. And we are very grateful for the Daughter for Earth who are supporting us in one of these projects, and Michael as well. And we are grateful for uh, your support. Just joining this platform is a great support. Thank you so much for taking out this time amazing time to be here, and we'll keep you updated on all our activities and on all the work we're doing. Have a beautiful evening, a beautiful afternoon, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so, so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome. Please do reach out. Those who have shared their emails. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Ashan. Thank you. Thank you. You too.